All right, so here we are today. I've got Cheerful, which is a yellow base that I'm using from Sherwin Williams Color to Go. I put a little bit of Floetrol in it just to make it easier to work with. This is going to take forever, watching me slowly spoon it on. Maybe someday I'll consider just pouring it on, since it's already in a cup and very ready to pour. I think that when I'm recording, my brain officially stops working, so that's a fun thing. Just slathering it on. Here we are. Drizzling, slathering. It is a very cheerful color, though. This yellow is pretty great. Oh, good. So now I'm going to do all my corners, which means that we're here for very much longer. Someday, I'm going to learn how to really edit videos, and then you'll need to watch out. Until then, you get to watch all of this ridiculousness. Look at you. Once again, using my spoon, still using my spoon, rather than just pouring it out of the cup. I can make anything more difficult than it needs to be. I'm pouring on a 10 by 20. 10 by 20s are the bane of my existence. I feel like they were created solely to make me struggle. And because of that, I am determined to master them. Today is just another example of 10 by 20 making every effort to beat me. And I mean, I think for a while there, it was beating me. I won though. Barely. Tiffany, there are better ways to spread paint on your canvas. All of the ways are better than this. I keep getting requests for videos though, so you guys must enjoy watching me painfully do this. It's hard to believe though. Closing in on those sides. Well, visually it looks covered. Still not done. Gotta drizzle some more on. I like to make sure that I have a good pillow of base paint. Some might call that overkill. I call that overkill. Once again, as I mentioned, I am constantly being beaten by extra long rectangle shaped canvases, so they make me nervous. I feel like I have to go above and beyond to conquer whatever it is that they bring to the table to fight me. And I do that with too much paint. Sorry. All right, I think in this gap where you can't see anything happening, I'm loading paint onto my palette knife. I used a mixture to come up with an orange that I liked. It's got paint, it's got pigment, it's got, the Shelee Art pouring medium. I used a red, came up with a special blend of red. I had some black that is my own kind of off black, like a deep, dark, slate gray metallic, I guess you could say. So yeah, I loaded all that onto the palette knife with some gold cell activator on the bottom of all of those colors. Getting it all situated and moved around on there. I want to say, yeah, I did gold, and then black, and then red, and then orange. The attempt is to always keep the black as far away from the yellow as possible, but it never really ends up working like that. So here I am, swooshing it on there. Get some really awesome cells that pop up right away. But overall, the cells kind of didn't do anything. This whole bottom area that you can see closer, it's just a little smear of colors. Did nothing. Here I am putting more paint on. The primary thought that I was having is that it would make the whole little snake of paint easier to glide across. I don't have any evidence to prove that that works. I don't have any experience to prove that that works, but somehow I'm convinced that it does. So there's that. Man, y'all are patient. Watching this is interesting. So, torching ever so slightly, because this method does not like to be torched, and also for some reason that has no evidence or experience to back it up, I love torching things. It's not really smart with this method because everything is super easy to scorch, but it's what I do. I torch things. Here I am tilting off the camera, because even though I know I'm on camera, I can't seem to tilt towards you guys. So just imagine that the paint is barely moving in any direction that I want it to. You just can't see it. Got a really great shot of my spinner. That's probably about 50 layers of paint on top of a cake spinner. Also on top of a layer of press and seal. At some point I'll take it off and change it out, but I kind of like the aesthetic of just layers and layers and layers and layers of paint. It's fun. Hundreds of colors, pigments, everything imaginable on that cake spinner. I'm just moving this paint around. This whole bottom here, like I said, I got no cells. I got this, the pigment broke up immediately, and so it was just kind of like a shadow of color, which is cool in its own right. But I think while I was in the midst of it, it was getting the best of me, and I was trying to figure out what I could do to make it okay. The top area, the area that's like farthest away from you and the camera, had some really interesting cell action going on, but as soon as I started stretching this, all of the pigments across the whole thing broke up. If you do this art form a lot, it's called flocculation. We jokingly say that we had flocking, and we make jokes about how it sounds like other F words. Funny folks. But the top looks amazing from a distance, but close up, which is where I was, I'm already like scheming what I can do. I am not a scraper. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I don't like this, let me scrape it. I just keep messing with it. I just keep building on what I have, and eventually I'll either get something worse, way worse, or I'll get something kind of cool out of it. So here I am, just stretching away, trying to decide if I'm going to end up with better or worse today. Here the paint's moving wonderfully now. Those cells look amazing. There's so much depth to them. The way that the black goes over the gold, the way that the red and the orange are just like encapsulated, it looks amazing. But because in my mind I've already kind of given up on this, I'm just stretching off all the extra paint, all of that extra yellow that is just oozing slowly. That's what I'm doing. And I mean, dang, is that pretty? It's so pretty. It's got this wispiness that goes across the bottom. But yeah, like I said, if for whatever reason it's not the way that I wanted it, I can't leave it alone. So I get all of those edges touching all the edges. Paint doesn't like to flow over dry canvas, so even though I spent all the time covering the whole top of it, once I start tilting, I take my finger and I just dab all of the white sides of the canvas, because all of those dry areas are going to try to resist the paint. It's obnoxious, and my OCD can't handle it. I spend a lot of time manually covering a canvas that I could just not, but I have to. So here we are. This is like a long pause. I think this might have been when I went to wash my hands, because I was gone forever. All right, and here I am tilting the canvas toward the camera because I'm trying to take a picture of it, knowing that I'm about to potentially destroy it. I wanted to get a picture. The lights were being awful, so my picture was also awful. But it exists. Camera shaking because I touched it. Oh my goodness, can't touch the camera while you're recording. And here we go spinning. I just love spinning. My friend Sky says that spinning is like cheating. And I agree. The more I see that I spin everything, the more I'm like, it totally is. Like, you can't get something to do what you want, spin it. Force it to do what you want. No, but I love my spinner. I have people that follow me on Instagram that comment about my pool, which is what the spinner is inside of. It's a little kitty puppy pool sitting on top of a table. And I could pour on my table just as easily. I could pour and then tilt, and I have a whole area that I can dry. I could, but I pour everything on my spinner, whether I spin or not. So here you see, I've made a executive decision that it's not working. So I'm drizzling a little bit more yellow on there, making some sort of a shape. It does look pretty cool though, I'm not gonna lie. Here's some orange, drizzle, drizzle, drizzle of the orange. So I make all of my colors really custom. Like if I'm doing an orange and my little shelf of pigments has 4 different shades of orange pigment, I use a little bit of all of them, and then I add a little bloop of paint, and I put the pouring medium in and stir it really well and get it nice and full of bubbles, and then walk away for several hours. Those bubbles can pop. But a lot of people ask what colors people use, and it's really difficult to answer that because none of my colors are just like a single brand or color. I've got 4 or 5 brands of 4 or 5 different things in each color to make whatever I've got. And the list is astronomical every time. Another thing, not sure why I do that, but that has become my preference. So I've got orange on there, I've got red on there. Inside the red, the primary aspect of the red is this little piggy by FluiArtCo. It's the Grenache, and it is probably the most beautiful deep red I've ever seen. And I haven't used it for a minute, so it was definitely time. The whole US is going through this cold snap right now. I'm in Arizona, so it's just cold for us, but definitely not cold compared to what some people have. But I wanted to do something that was super warm today, and I got some fiery lava looking heat. I guess that works. Definitely got some warmth. But yeah, I've got the orange drizzled, I've got the red drizzled, I put a tiny amount of black, and now I'm finagling the gold cell activator onto my palette knife, which is actually a frosting spatula for cake. It came with the cake spinner. I really like it for swipes. Here we go. Here we go. I've always got to make sure that the cell activator is like perfectly spread across the area on my palette knife. I can't have it not touching any of the corners. It's got to be just right. Man, once I started spreading on this one, the cells were just exploding everywhere. Oh, look at those cells. It was cell-tastic, as one of my followers likes to say. Just amazing. Trying to break up the cell activator at the top a little bit because it was really thick and in one place. Tried to fix the little broken shape at the bottom. Not terrible. I'm brand new still to swiping. I'm very, very brand new to maintaining negative space and getting a shape that is aesthetically pleasing. I got so used to doing blooms that just spread and cover the entire canvas that trying to minimize the space that has color is really a challenge for me. So I often still cover it more than it should ever have been covered. There was a little edge where the paint didn't get touched at all, by the spatula and the cell activator. So I started just taking a little toothpick and swirling around, which is called wrecking. And as always, I never seemed to be able to stop. So I just went and wrecked around all of the edges of this little swirly shape that I made. Just wrecking, wrecking, wrecking. It looks cool. People do some amazing things with wrecking. I don't think I've figured out the amazing things yet. Just get occasional nice wispies, but mostly it's just like, what were you doing? And spin. I'm nothing if not predictable. It actually spread out really nicely. One thing I'm learning about the long rectangular canvases is that when you spin them, not a lot really moves on the short sides, but it stretches vertically quite well. So that's something to keep in mind when you are spinning a long canvas. Like, it's not really gonna spread along the short sides very well. It's gonna, like, the way that inertia takes it, it goes out the long way. That is the worst explanation ever. You know what I mean. I can't always word well. So I've got this really cool looking python head, and I'm gonna do my absolute best to stretch it completely until it doesn't look like a python head anymore. At one point I had a perfect dragon head, and also got rid of that. Would have been nice. Would have been really nice. But once I start, I can't stop. So I think, yeah, we're going to tilt now. There are some gorgeous places on this canvas. Oh my goodness. Breathtaking. You can't see it. All you can see is my arm. There's some freckles there. There's a little bit of paint dripping. Great view, guys. You guys have the best seat in the house. And now I'll tilt towards you. So thoughtful. So I think I'm going to get rid of almost all of that grayed out, like, shadowy looking area from the previous spin out. I think I end up getting rid of almost all of it, which is good because it was so flocculated. Is that a verb? Don't know. I can't even believe how many little scaly cells there are at this bottom. Like, watching it stretch, it was so fun. Some of the areas here get distorted as I stretch, but it's so much better than what I'm used to seeing out of myself when I tilt and stretch. So I'm counting it as a victory. Like, every time I stretch and I'm, patiently waiting for the paint to tilt off, I'm getting just a little bit better at it. The cells are, like, maintaining just ever so slightly better than the last time. It's so hard not to be hard on yourself, Like, you see nothing but the bad. And while I watch this replay, all I can see is the pretty parts of it. But while I was doing it, like, all you can see is that's wrong and that's wrong and this is bad. And it's really unfortunate that we allow our brains to talk to us like that. Because holy smokes, this is so pretty. Why was I being so mean? Look at that. Man, that is just fiery goodness. Oh, we're spinning. We're spinning. But if you all get nothing else out of watching my videos, try to be less mean in your own head about your own art. I mean, in other people's art too, but definitely your own. It's so easy sometimes to say, to another artist, oh my God, your art is amazing, this and that. But we forget that those artists are doing the same things in their own heads. They're hating every detail. They're struggling. They're in the weeds, stuck on the process. So just be kind to yourself. Take the tiny victories. That's all for today, guys.